Are you getting enough carbs in at breakfast and at lunch? Or are you doing the rabbit food situation, thinking you're eating healthy, but you're really not fueling yourself? Because you absolutely can be.
That's a message that I don't think any woman has ever been presented with as a possibility. Welcome back to the Aging Athletically podcast with the brilliant Alison Heilig. I am your co-host, Kelly Moser. Alison, we need to talk about fueling.
Yes, we do.
There's something that you describe as a fueling paradox. Can you tell me a little bit more about what that means to you?
Fueling is one of those things where we can sometimes have kind of a positive or negative association with it, right? So if you come from that school of thought that's really around fueling is really about dieting, right? It's about restriction. Like, we're not really thinking about how are we adding to or improving capacity. It can be really difficult to accept that your body has to change in some ways. And that shouldn't be surprising because, like, you're asking your body to increase its strength, its capacity, its ability to show up in the world differently, but you don't want it to change. Like, I have never in my life had a male client come to me and say, I got fitter, I got stronger, I feel amazing, but God damn it, I gained 5 pounds, right? Like, that is not something that my male clients have ever said to me. But it is something that the women that I work with do struggle with, is that sometimes the way that we have maintained a certain body is through underfueling. And when you learn that, there's a little bit of shame around that, but there's also a lot of that cultural narrative that we're supposed to be small. You're supposed to get fitter, but you're supposed to stay small, right? You're supposed to increase your capacity, but you're supposed to stay small. And so with fueling, I prefer that word we talk about it as fueling, because that is what you're doing. Now, I want everybody to fuel for their goals. So for some people, if your goals are fat loss, you're going to fuel differently than fueling for performance, right? So these two things don't coexist. They're completely different physiological environments. For one, you're trying to reduce your body size or change how much body fat you have. And on the other side, you're trying to increase some of those tissues, right? So with fueling, we really want to stay focused on, there are a bazillion approaches, but it all comes back to, what are you trying to do with your fueling? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? And that should be the guide. It's not a specific diet. It's not a to have carbs or not have carbs. It's not a intermittent fasting. What's the window you use? It's, what are we trying to do? And how do we do that in a way that works for you?
What if someone doesn't have a huge specific goal? They just want to feel better overall. Is that still kind of you're engineering their fueling process based on just simply wanting to feel good and have more energy?
Yeah, your body's speaking to you. Your body's giving you biofeedback. We're seeing it in, again, we have access to, on my person right now, I have a watch that tells me lots of stuff, and I have this ring that tells me lots of stuff. And some of what they tell me is they put numbers, they quantify feelings that I have, right? Like, I wake up some days and I'm like, I didn't sleep so great. And it gives me a sleep score of like 67. And I'm like, well, there you go, right? Like, I don't feel great. So there's a number that helps me. So sometimes attaching a number to it can be helpful, because then you start to see it's like, it's not all in your head. There's biofeedback that's occurring, and that's supported by the data. The fueling for feeling better starts with, what's the problem? Right? Like, are you like 2:00 every day? You're like jamming gummy bears and caffeine in to get through the rest of the day. Like, how is that showing up for you? And then, or for some people, it might be what they're experiencing is at the end of every day, they cannot control themselves around food. And a lot of times that one, when you dig into it, is they're not eating enough fiber and protein earlier in the day. And their body is giving them biofeedback, but they're not listening to it, or they've been taught to ignore it. I mean, women are known for, like, discipline is ignoring your hunger. God forbid you get hungry, right? Like, you're supposed to be hungry. You're supposed to have desires. Right? Like, that's all normal. But if you have suppressed that hunger signaling, And that can happen during times of stress. That can happen because you just don't listen to it long enough that your body's like, I guess we won't keep telling her we're hungry. If you start to suppress that, then you're not getting that biofeedback anymore, right? Like you're not here. It's just like with me, I'm an athlete. I won't eat enough unless I'm tracking my food because I have to eat more than I'm hungry for. Like that's my reality. If I went just by hunger, I would be under eating all the time.
Wow.
So if you are trying to eat for just feeling better, we want to look at what's going on. Are we distributing protein and fiber well enough throughout the day? Are we sandwiching those things around the time of the day when you need them? Because your brain runs on carbs, like a lot, like 120 grams of carbs per day just for your brain. So if what you're feeling is sluggish, brain fog in the afternoon, well, we got to look. Are you getting enough carbs in at breakfast and at lunch? Or are you doing the like rabbit food situation, thinking you're eating healthy, but you're really not fueling yourself? Because you absolutely can be under eating or overeating and eating healthy. Like just because you eat healthy doesn't mean you're eating for your goals. And that's what I experienced when I talked to you about when I had Red S. I was eating what I thought was enough. I was eating according to my hunger. I was eating really healthy, but it wasn't enough. And that my body had a problem with that. So we look at what biofeedback is getting messed up. What are we seeing? What does the data tell us? And then from there, we come up with a plan that is really specific to you, what you're working with, right? Do you have access to a refrigerator at lunchtime? Is that what's keeping you from not being able to eat those types of foods? And what do you like to eat? Like it doesn't need to look like anything specifically, but we do need to start with what are we trying to achieve?
Yeah. For the person that is hearing you say that sometimes you have to eat more than what you're hungry for, that's a message that I don't think any woman has ever been presented with as a possibility. Does that blow people's minds?
Yes.
That if you're training for a long distance run or you're training for it, like that you actually might need to eat more than you're hungry for?
I hear it all the time. I'm not hungry.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like eat.
You want to run that race? You got to eat.
Hunger is hormones. Like hunger is not it's not anything more than that. Your body has decided to send a chemical messenger to your brain saying you need to eat. That could be because you don't have anything in your stomach. That could be because you're running low on energy. That could be you could not have that signaling pinging your brain anymore because you've suppressed that. If you've been under fueling for a long period of time, your body will down-regulate those hunger and appetite hormones because why? You're not going to feed us. So why keep pinging you if you're just going to ignore us? So and now I'm to the point where I've been doing this long enough but I'm eating, like on my long run days, I'm eating like 3,200 calories per day. And that sounds amazing. Like, but it's not like pizza.
It's not fun stuff.
Right? No, and it's like that. And I'm not even hungry really because I just ran 13 miles, right? Like, so my system is going, we don't know. No, because what happens is when you're stressed or when you are exercising at intensity, your body pulls the blood flow away from your digestive organs because other places need it more. Like right now, if a bear were to come through that door, my body would divert all of the blood flow away from my stomach. Who cares about that lunch? That we don't need that right now. We need to put it into your muscles. We need to put it into dilating your pupils. We need to put it into your lungs because you need to fight or you need to run. So it's really smart and it's adapting to what we're doing, right? So if you are in a state where your life is high intensity and stressful, no judgment, I love myself a high intensity lifestyle. But if you're constantly in that state, you might not feel like eating because there's no blood flow going to your stomach.
Wow.
Right? So hunger is unreliable for your needs because so much can affect it.
That's so interesting. How long does it take of underfueling before you start to see the negative impact on your body? Are we talking like if you don't fuel the right way for a couple of days, you're going to start to notice it? If you don't fuel properly for weeks or months or years, how long does that process take?
Pretty quickly. There's actually some really good research coming out on this recently. Pretty quickly, your body, your thyroid starts to downregulate. That happens within days, right?
Wow.
Like we're starting to notice that. there's more and more coming out about what's called low energy availability, which is what we would call underfueling. And what it looks at is that it's not just across the day underfueling. There are actually like windows, right? If you go huge chunks of time in the day, you're actually dipping into the negative in your energy, and that is enough to start creating. So if you end up at the end of the day eating enough calories, your thyroid your metabolism can start to downregulate because you're going huge chunks of time throughout the day without eating. Wow. So it's registering, I'm going to have to be prepared for unpredictable fueling systems and unpredictable energy coming in. So I'm going to bring it down a notch, right? So what we start to see then is with low energy availability, people's energy, their body composition start to change, even though they haven't really changed how much or what types of things they're eating, because their body is just bringing that metabolism down as a reaction to the environment that it's in.
Oh, wow. That's so crazy. Why don't we learn this in school, Alison?
I know. And I feel like as women, like we learn about our bodies from a very negative way. It's like we learn about like perimenopause is awful. It's like, yes, and your body has just spent 3 decades functioning on an enormous level of estrogen. Yeah. And then it's just going to go away and your body's going to figure out how to function without it. That's fucking wild. Like, that's incredible, but we don't learn about it that way. Right. We learn about all the negative. And not to diminish the actual experience of it, but we learn about our periods that way. We learn that they are shameful, right? We learn we have to hide it. We learn all of these things about our bodies in this really negative light. And it's like, we are amazing. Like, we can grow a human being.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Like, we are so much more resilient and badass than our male counterparts, right? Like, amen. There are chunks of time in our lives that are marked by before and after, right? Like, that we go through these experiences and our bodies just figure it out. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. Fueling for big activities like a big run. Talk to me about what the philosophy is there. If someone comes to you, let's say they've been working their way up to a marathon, but they're getting really tired as they're training, what are you looking for in how they're fueling and how they're recovering? And what are your recommendations for someone who's experiencing that?
I look at, typically there's a couple of things. With runners, we're looking at what are they eating across the day and what are they eating during their high effort runs. That's usually their long run. Because one of the things that people don't really realize when they start running is that there's a certain point where you actually have to eat while you're running. And you have to teach your body how to do that. Because remember, all your blood flow has been diverted to your muscles that are running you. So your body's going to have a little problem at first, right? And everybody's like, oh, but I can't. It makes my stomach upset. Yeah, it makes everybody's stomach upset until you teach it to be able to do it. So part of training for long events is training your body to absorb nutrients while you're running. And how do you do that without choking and, all of these other factors? So with running specifically being a really interesting sport in that it's one of the few that I can think of where you need to do the thing and eat at the same time. Yeah. And in a lot of ways, you're force feeding yourself. Nobody who's out there in that marathon wants to eat that goo. No one.
It's so appetizing.
I remember there was... It might have been, it was the Philadelphia Marathon. I was going to say, I thought it was a New York City Marathon. At the Philadelphia Marathon, when we were running past Drexel, the fraternity brothers were out there with beer and Dunkin' Donuts. And the smell of it made me nauseous. Ugh. And they're trying to give it out to the runners. And I mean, God bless them. That's nice. I mean, they were all probably hungover.
They're like, sugar is sugar,
the night before.
Right?
Yeah, but it was gross. Yeah. The smell of it just, my stomach is trying to tell me no. No, this is not a good time. But I have to override that because fueling, again, you have a system that is highly influenced by other things. And just because you're getting this signal doesn't mean you're eating enough, right? So that's one of those things with running that I find it harder for women. The other thing is that a lot of these people that want to run things like marathons are really being healthy is a big part of their identity, and they have to embrace eating sugar. Because when you're running, you need straight sugar. because your body doesn't have time to break down anything else. I need it as close to what I can send straight into my bloodstream.
Wow.
I can't break it down. It needs to be simple sugar. Like if you could just take, I take gummy bears. I love Sour Patch Kids. Like, and there's a lot of women that are like, I don't want to eat junk food. It's like, but you have to fuel. And if you want to try to run this by eating broccoli, you're more than welcome, but it's not going to go well.
And no one around you is going to appreciate that either.
No. So like there is a big hurdle there with women, and it happens with other things too. The more intensity, the more duration, the more volume that you add in, the more you have to fuel. And it's going to be not fiber food, because if you eat a lot of fiber, it's going to fill you up. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have to eat some of those junk foods. There is a place for them for people who just need energy but don't need more nutrients. So like when my energy needs go up, I don't go from 30 grams of fiber to 100. Like that would be crazy. Could you imagine 100 grams of fiber?
No.
It would be awful.
Sounds terrible.
Right? So I don't increase that. But I do have to increase my carbs. So where are the carbs coming from? They're coming from things that don't have fiber in them. They're coming from gummy bears, right? Like, so making sure that you're fueling before, fueling after, fueling during, those are the things we're really going to be looking at, because those are the things that are going to determine whether you're actually able to perform, to accomplish the distance, to do the lifts. And those are also going to be things that we figure out, are you recovering from them appropriately? Are you getting enough protein to actually create muscle mass? Are you eating enough to push hard enough to get the muscle mass, right? Because carbs are really important for your ability to push your workout harder. When you push harder, you get more muscle. So you need carbs, you need protein, you need fats, you need all of it.
What percentage of women, whether they're in a heavy training phase of life or just regular, what percentage of women would you say are under fueling for the level of activity that they're pursuing in their life?
All that I can speak to, well, there was a study, I think it was in 2014, that looked at women who were recreational gym goers at risk for low energy availability. And it was something like 50% of the women who were going to the gym. So like group classes, the whole nine. You think about, you walk into a commercial gym, the population of women that's there, 50% of them were at risk for low energy availability. Because that's a population of people that when they're that religious about going to the gym, they usually have all of this other stuff where they're trying to, fuel well or eat healthy, or they're still kind of in that burn it approach, right? So they still are trying to minimize or restrict their calories. But in my work, if I look at the women who are working out, let's say more than 4 days per week on a regular basis, I'd say 75% of them come in underfueled.
Wow.
It's rare. It's unusual to see somebody come in who's fueling at the level that they should be. Some of them, it's not that bad that they're underfueling. I'd say that it's even higher for ones that come in who are already tracking their food. I'd say it's probably 90% are underfueling, because they're so fixated on that number, and they're fixated on what the scale is saying, and that is driving their decisions about how they train and what they eat.
Why do you think it's so hard to recognize that you're underfueling when you're kind of inside of it?
I think what's interesting is that for the population of perimenopause, underfueling and perimenopause have the same symptoms. So we're in this place right now where women who are trying to take their health seriously, right, and maybe they caught the bug, right? They're like, oh yeah, I'm running these races. I ran a half marathon with my cousin. I thought I'd never do that, and now I'm like crazy, right? Now I'm running all over the place. I see that a lot where women they're finding their athletic identity later in life, when they're, ready to have some fun with it, ready to break free of the skinny, restrict and punishment, right? They're ready to break free of all of that. But they come in and they're looking at their food intake, and they don't know what they're looking at. They'll say to me, I'm eating too many carbs. And then I'll look at it and I'll go, no, you're not. You're eating 175 grams of carbs a day. That is not a lot of carbs.
What is, for someone who doesn't really know, what would 175 grams of carbs look like, practically speaking?
Not very much.
Are we talking like 2 pieces of bread? What does that look like?
I would say All right, so let's break it down into even more simplistic. So I would say like a medium-sized apple is usually around like 25 grams of carbs. Could you live on, what's that, 7 apples a day?
And nothing else.
It's not very much. Your brain needs 120 grams on its own.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and then every cell in your body is using carbohydrate to fuel you. 175 is what you eat when you are like not working out, right? If you want to, for a lot of, depending on your body size. But we look at these numbers, and if you don't know what you're looking at, you're going to be making bad decisions. Like that woman who said, I eat too many carbs. I'm like, you go to you lift 4 days a week, you run and row 3 days a week. This is way under eating. But to her, that was just a high number.
Right.
But yeah, it's wild what people pick up, like these things, like what's too much, what's too little. It's like, who told you that?
Yeah. Any final thoughts on under eating, under fueling?
Don't do it. Feed the women. Feed the women.
Feed the women.
You feel so much better, and your potential has to be fueled. Like you will never realize it until you think of it as not less about fuel and more about like fire, right? Like adding like another log to the fire, like stoke that fire.
I love it. I'm hungry. I'm going to go eat more. Alison, in our next conversation, we're going to talk about injury and setbacks and the fragility myth. So stick around. We'll be back soon.